Actually, Madam Chair, I think what we need is clarity. I know you've been trying to give this, but I really want to very briefly just take the opportunity to raise a real concern about the tenants in this property and our near attempt at breaching their quiet enjoyment of their lease. And the point the officer makes is a very important point, and this is a message for all of us politicians, local and governing body. And there's a leasehold arrangement in place. You've got to give them quiet enjoyment. And I'm not pleased to hear that. Whatever the best intentions were, you potentially put us in a place of breach. So for future reference, don't do it. The second thing is, Madam Chair, the need for us to broadly consider Grey Power and any other seniors representatives positioning around the city needs to be looked at in the whole. Yeah. And if we need a resolution that way, Madam Chair, I think that would be useful. But we should absolutely consider it in the whole. This is the first time that I've heard of it. And I think that it absolutely has merit. But let's look at where we might do that. Not just take this as a potential opportunity in a slightly opportunistic way. You know, I think the best idea is to give it an appropriate reflection, and your direction is a good one for a start. But I don't think that's ultimately it. The decision for that is at a regional level around this table. I think that's where, and basically working in with the seniors panel. Madam Deputy Mayor, I don't know what your discussion covered, but I suspect it will probably be along the same lines. So if we're able to just portion that out, deal with that issue as a broader issue that's going to take time, and Madam Chair, if we could really focus in on the issue of sale or hold.
That's what I'm hoping.
Madam Chair, yes. Maybe I can be of some assistance if we could then break the proposed resolution into two parts, and I wonder if it would be appropriate for me to speak to that at this stage.
I think that would be very helpful. Councillor Fletcher, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's a lot of emotion in this, and the Mayor is quite correct to encourage us to observe good process here. In terms of what has been said, I do want to just draw attention to the fact that the minutes of the Albert Eden Local Board were distributed by the Committee Secretary, Mike Giddy, to all councillors and members of the Independent Maori Statutory Board on the 14th of June. Right. And it's in part that I want to speak to those minutes that did enjoy the unanimous support of all members of that local board. I think it is lamentable that we've had 2.5 years to try and get to this point, and I accept that perhaps there's a measure of frustration with officers on that, so I'm acknowledging and accepting that. But I think the primary driver here for me is about the vulnerability of the elderly. Yes, there's a commercial lease, and we acknowledge and accept that, and there are the issues of natural justice that should be afforded there. But we also have heard on numerous occasions the issues surrounding the plight of the elderly, particularly the elderly on the isthmus. So working with the Deputy Mayor, and I really applaud her for having the willingness to work collaboratively on finding and identifying a suitable site. But I am speaking today directly to the unanimous support of the local board from the 5th of May, from memory, the 4th of May, where they were seeking some deferral. Now the practicality around that, we can do a bit of a dive into. There may be some issues around extension to leases and so forth. I'm not wanting to speak to that. I'm not wanting to speak to the practicality of that. I simply want to recognise that it was the unanimous view that there be a deferral, and I want to add my support to that, because nothing is worse than when a community becomes divided, particularly a division between preschoolers and the older community. And we've got representatives of the older community here today. So on the negative side of things, I recognise that maybe the local board should have got into gear on this earlier. Maybe, and there's been criticism, there's been lots of ugly stuff floating around this issue as the lobbying's gone backwards and forwards. There's been accusations of the fact that Anne-Marie Curry's been a City Vision candidate for AECT, and I wanted to shy away from all of that. I went back to Bill Rayner, I talked to other members of Grey Power to get legitimacy around the position and respectfulness around that position. So that it is the view of Grey Power that it would be desirable. It is the view of the local board. I don't necessarily agree with the issues that have been drawn to our attention today around the leases, and it's, I can say, speaking as the chair of the Parks portfolio, it is a bit of a challenge from time to time when you have, like the Eden Rugby Club, it's been very difficult when we're negotiating, you know, round leases, but that is the domain and that is the delegation to that local board. And unless we want to make changes to that, we have to be respectful of those decisions that they're going to make. But I would implore members of the governing body, of the Finance and Performance Committee here today, to enable the local board to explore this a little bit further in a meaningful dialogue with Panuku. I do think it's more than just the geographical area of Albert Eden. This is an issue for the whole of the isthmus. So, Madam Chair, I'm very happy that that the decision is taken at the most high level of council. If the Deputy Mayor is happy to continue in terms of advocacy on this, I think that would be extremely helpful. But it's an opportunity today to enable the community to work constructively together and not see that division between early childhood and the seniors community until such time as we actually have more information on this. So a deferral is sought until the end of the year, and I hope that can be supported. So thank you.
Councillor Fletcher, we've split your amendment in two, and I'm going to deal with them separately. So request that the Chief Executive initiate a review to determine the needs for and possible location of a purpose-built community hub for senior and other community groups involving Panuku Development, Auckland. Are you happy with that?
Yes, that's fine.
Just a clarification, Madam Chair. So is that, when we're talking about central, does it just mean for the isthmus? It's not for any of the other parts of needs in the region?
It doesn't say.
Well, that's what I'm concerned about, because I'm confused about this, whether it was, people keep saying it's nice and central for everybody. Do they mean nice and central for people on the isthmus suburbs, or do they mean central for the whole region?
Madam Chair, and speaking to this issue has come up because of the isthmus. So my understanding of what is being proposed at the moment is that this is for the isthmus. I acknowledge there are other needs that go right across the region, and it may be that the Deputy Mayor might want to speak to that and broaden the terms of reference that can be more properly addressed across the region. But for the purposes of the discussion today, we are dealing with the isthmus in Auckland.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor, do you want to
yeah,
make a comment?
Can I just make a comment? I can see where Councillor Fletcher's heading with this, and I kind of agree mostly. I'm a little bit concerned about the just isthmus, because that's how I ended up kind of wading into this. There was some discussion about sites. I know Councillor Clow was trying to help out with sites in New Lynn, and given the ease of transport and, you know, easy accessibility, I wouldn't support this just being isthmus focused. I think it's around somewhere people can get to easily is what I'm getting more from Grey Power and from the advocates I've heard of. I'm also not happy with the purpose built. I think we're heading down a very expensive, long wait for people who kind of want something now, and I think we've got an awful lot of commercial buildings and commercial opportunities that we might be able to look at something far more creative. So, Councillor Fletcher, if we could
Suitable,
it's up
let's
to
just,
you.
let's
Suitable.
take
Yep.
purpose-built out and put suitable.
Sounds
I think
better.
suitable would be great.
Appropriate, suitable, what?
And
better?
Letitia, do you want to make a comment? Because I think Kim actually said
Yeah,
that
the
there are
community
some
groups.
areas, so.
Yes, and Madam Chair, given community leasing is the responsibility of the community leasing team and not Panuku Development Auckland,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if community facilities would be more appropriate in there, given we have a commercial mandate.
Okay, thank you. This is recommendation by committee, so
It's reaching
I think
consensus too.
we're trying to,
is.
we know what we're trying to get to, so I'm not going to sort of worry about changing words at this stage. Councillor Cashmore.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and I agree with your comments, but we are moving towards a better place. My question is basically one that's fairly simple, and is that childcare facilities, whether they be public or private, are an essential part of our social fabric in all of our areas. This childcare facility, I would presume, is fully booked up, probably has a waiting list of substance.
It's a very popular childcare facility, and I don't know if it's appropriate, but an email that following on from the query from the journalist and local politicians being photographed in front of the childcare centre, we received this email from the occupant thanking us for contacting her, and has said, we have taken over and purchased the business and equipment from the previous management while they were not able to manage, and we're ready to close the childcare centre. We have retained the jobs of 5 teaching staff under our new management and invested huge sums of money on building, inside painting, carpets, playground turfing, security gates and heat pumps in all rooms. The local community was so happy to see the childcare centre running without any obstacles, and the Ministry of Education also cooperated with us while issuing the new licence under our new management. After all these efforts now, if council is ready to sell the property, then please give us an opportunity to buy the property, so we can keep the childcare centre running as usual, and in the interest of the staff and teachers, keep their jobs safe. Kindly consider our offer if approval for disposal is made by the council.
So, Madam Chair, that sort of sums it up. Would it be wise to remove one social service provider and replace it with another when we can have the extra potentially to have both, with a bit more time taken by our leasing department to identify a good, suitable place for Grey Power to have a central isthmus hub to locate out of? And these sort of hubs are run, there's several in the south. I know there's 2 in Franklin. My dear mother-in-law is in charge of one in the south, and there's many of them around different areas. So just take time and do the work to deliver the outcome that's actually really needed.
Thank you. Councillor Clow.
Still questions, Madam Chair, or debating?
I just wonder if it's sensible we have Councillor Casey's resolution up there as well to have a look, because I would suggest they're probably pretty similar, and can we try at least get unity on one alternative resolution? I think this whole issue is really about Grey Power frustration. That it's been going on for such a long time and they're getting nowhere. So, I mean, I'm going to support one of the resolutions, either Councillor Casey's or Councillor Fletcher's, because it's just something to try and bring pressure on, I don't know who, whether it's community facilities or whatever, but no one's listening to Grey Power. That's been going on for a very long time. And I know they've got frustrations all over the place, and I know they're a bit frustrated with a facility we have in Avondale, which we're trying to sort of at least have them have the ability to hot desk out of it, you know, 1 day a week or twice a week. But it's clear they need some sort of hub. I'd just like to know, could someone tell me, has the community leasing people, have you been talking to Grey Power over the years? I mean, not just over the month, but over the years. And I'd like to know, I saw Richard Northey here before. What do the seniors panel think about us providing the type of facility that's been desired? Because, I mean, among other things, why do we have the senior panel if they can't even give any advice? And I don't see it anywhere that their opinion has been taken into account. I don't see anything written up.
So, councillors, I think I'm very keen to deal with this, but we are actually here for a disposal report. This is a conversation that we can have. I'm trying to put something in here that will facilitate further discussion, but I really don't want to spend time drilling down into this whole issue. I understand where you're coming from, councillor Clow, but, you know, I think this is probably for another day.
Well, with all due respect to the chair, I mean, I believe this is the issue.
Well, you're
There's
going to
great
take the
power
chair over in a
frustration,
minute, so.
just not getting anywhere.
Through the